It's The Session. I'm your host, Michelle Nicole Charles, and today we have two lovely special guests today in the building. We have Antoinetta. She is the president of Girls with Gifts, and we have T. Lee, the ambassador and mentor of Girls with Gifts as well. So Girls with Gifts is really dope. They inspire young women to reach their full potential in the entertainment industry, which is super dope.
What the catalyst that actually started the organization was from my work on Black Girls Rock.
Okay.
With Beverly Bond in New York City. And after going through the process of doing the show and learning about her organization, when I met those girls, most of those girls were polished and ready-made. And of course you would pick them to be in the program. Mm-hmm. But I was looking for the girl a little bit like me.
Right, who needs guidance.
Mm-hmm. Who's from Flint, who may be a little sassy and no one wants to pick her because she has a 2.9. Fortunately for me, I had a 3.8.
Okay.
And so instead of trying to get Beverly to modify Black Girls Rock, I was like, I'll start my own thing. And literally, Stephen Hill was my boss at the time, and we had a meeting, and he asked me what my 5-year plan was. And at that age, you kind of feel like you have to have something to say.
How old were you at that time when he asked that question?
I was 24.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you were still young. Yeah.
I was 24, and I felt like I had to have an answer. Mm-hmm. I really didn't know where I saw myself in 5 years,
right.
But I was saying stuff like, I don't know, owning my own business and, having a family and married. Clearly none of that has happened yet. But one thing that I said was start my own girls nonprofit organization. And he won't agree to this because he hasn't to this day, but he chuckled. Like it was a little bit of a smirk. And that honestly became my motivation to kind of prove him wrong. I don't think I even ever told him this, so Hopefully maybe he'll hear this. But he kind of smirked, and it kind of made me feel like he didn't think it was possible. And the smirk could have been genuine, like, oh, I'm so proud of you. I don't know what the smirk was. I didn't ask. But I knew that it made me feel like there was a slight bit of doubt. So literally that year, which was 2009, I just started researching how to start your own nonprofit. And it was a scary journey to go on because...
That's what I was going to ask you, because it's not simple at all. It's a real live process. You got to submit all these applications and paperwork, and you have to pay fees as well?
Yes.
A lot of fees.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure then you have to pick your board. It's
yeah.
Because I wanted to open... Well, I am going to. Let's speak it into existence. I want to open a nonprofit organization, too, as well. And it's so crazy because you're doing exactly what I want to do.
Yeah. So I reached out to Felicia Butterfield-Jones, who's the president and co-founder of WEEN, which they Women in Entertainment Empowering Network.
I've heard of WEEN
before. Based in New York. And she was so gracious to literally walk me through everything.
That's a blessing.
She sent me, I actually need to find this email. She sent me an email that had about 10 questions that she needed me to answer. And I answered them and responded to her email, and she said, you're well on your way. And I never talked to her again about it. The next thing she knows, she saw the full organization. I didn't really wait on her to walk me through every step. I just needed to know the beginning stages of what she did for WEEN. And God bless her, because she was a part of the inspiration too. She was a couple years older than me at the time, but I saw that what she was doing in New York, and I was really inspired by that. So originally the organization was almost like a conglomerate of women like T. Lee, like yourself. And it was just like a movement. It was just like Girls with Gifts, just like you say, Black Girls Rock. It's just that can mean anything. It wasn't really anything formal originally. It was just if you're gifted, if you do something in front or behind the scenes, you're gifted. And if you're using your purpose, you're a part of Girls with Gifts. But then, to your point, when there was fees involved, and I actually wanted to start mentoring young girls, it's okay, where's this money and where are the resources gonna come from?
Right.
And so I moved to LA. I left BET. I moved to LA in 2011, 12, somewhere. It just gets murky because I'm old and I forget things. But somewhere around 2011, 12, I moved to LA, and I kept fighting the feeling of mentoring young girls or going into that realm because I was chasing money. To be honest with you. And I had this stigma that if you teach or if you go into the nonprofit sector, you'll be broke.
No, because nonprofit is a business at the end of the day.
Yeah, but that was my perception. Yeah. And it was just I don't really want, it felt good to me. It definitely felt like that's what I was supposed to be doing. But because I was still chasing film and I, had this idea of what my life should look like at a certain time, nonprofit just seemed like a struggle. And I was not trying to be about the struggle. Right. So So I remember speaking with AJ Johnson. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
She's a lot of people.
But I had met her through Roxy randomly at a brunch, and she looked at me and she said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a producer." And at the time I was working at Fremantle Media. And she said, out of nowhere, she said, "You're not happy. You're not happy where you are. I can tell in your soul that you're not happy." And I broke down crying.
Whoa.
And I don't even know this lady. I didn't know her from Adam. Like, never met her before. I saw her on TV, like Baby Boy. That's one of my favorite movies. But I didn't know her. And that conversation made me really do like a lot of soul searching because I was miserable at Fremantle. And no knock to Fremantle, the brand. I think they're a great production company. I just wasn't producing the type of content that I wanted to produce. And I was still trying to like find my way. And at this point, I was probably like 28. 27, 28, I think. And I remember she looked at me and she said, "What's stopping you? What's stopping you from doing Girls with Gifts? Like, that's in your heart." Because she asked me to tell her about it. And I told her about it. And like, I didn't realize when I talked about it, I like had this glow, or like I was like a different person.
Passionate about it, yeah.
And so she recognized that in me and she said, "Well, what's stopping you?" And I said, "Resources and money." And she turned to me and she said, "Is Roxy your friend?" And then I said, "Yes." She said, "Is Roxy a celebrity?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Have you asked her to use her platform?" And I said, "No." And she was like literally shaking her head at me. She was like, "Isn't Lance your friend?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "The answers are in front of you. You just aren't utilizing your resources." And I think for me, because these people were my friends, I was scared to like make them feel like I was everybody else. Like,
using them or need them for something.
Or I need them for something. So I like stayed away from that. And like Roxy was so gracious and she turned to me and she's like, "I never think that. That wasn't the basis of what our relationship was built on. Like, whatever you need, if I can do it and if it's within reach, I'll do it."
And not only that, it's the cause of it.
I know, but you don't
wonderful.
think about it like that, because when you are starting something, especially as an individual, and T. Lee actually just started her organization, so she can attest to this, you forget that it's not about you, because you're asking these people to do a favor for you. Working for Stephen Hill was really hard, but I garnered a lot of relationships.
That's what I was going to ask you. How was your experience working with him?
Yeah, it was.
What did you learn? What was like that one key? I'm sure you learned plenty of gems from him, but what was that one thing that stood out that you was like, you know what?
Man, I don't know. I think I just learned a lot about myself, like how deep I could dig, you know what I mean, to get things done. Because like Steven is not really somebody that you can tell no. You know what I mean? And I think just from like watching him and living vicariously through him, one thing that I think I appreciated him for, and one thing that I try to do now to this day, is no matter how like high Steven got in his career, he always made time for what I call, quote unquote, the little people.
Okay.
So like every week, Steven would take appointments at 9 a.m. in the morning for anybody who reached out to him. He didn't have to know them. Like if you just send him a cold email and said, "Hey, can I come to your office to get some advice?" He'd say, "Yeah, set it up with Antoinetta." And I would be shocked. Like, because I was his assistant and I was over there like, I ain't meeting with this person. And I'm just the assistant, you know? And he's like the president of the network or of music programming. And he's like, "No, like, you don't do people like that. No matter what level that you get at, like, you never know where you're going to meet that person again, or like what's going to happen to you in your career." And I can say that's one thing that he taught me without teaching me. He just lived that. And so it kind of like rubbed off on me. I can't say that I take every meeting that I get an email for, but I'm working on it. But I just thought that was like huge of him to do that.
Absolutely.
And it was inspiring, you know, because people would like die to get a meeting with him. And the fact that he was just like so open was just like, wow, this is great.
T. Lee, how you feeling? How you doing over here? You over here
Fantastic.
quiet.
No, I'm listening to my sister because I know her. I know how it started. You know, I was there from the very beginning of the journey. I sat in on the very first conference call, her very first, "This is what I want to do." And I'm also from Flint, and just, you know, coming from a city like Flint and wanting to enter the entertainment industry, there was no pipeline, there was no resources, there were no,
Especially in Flint.
Yeah.
Let's be real. You know what I mean?
there's no one to get that will navigate you when you get here.
Right.
You know? So when Antoinetta decided to launch Girls with Gifts, I wanted to be on board because I know that feeling to not have all of the above.
Right.
So I was all for it. I said, you let me know what you need me to do. I am here for you every step of the way.
I love it.
And that's what we've been doing. You know, we assist those young girls who don't have mentors, resources, contacts, hands-on experience. We want to get you to that next level in your career, whatever it may be. We want to team you up with a mentor to assist you with those goals, because we didn't have that at all, not even a little bit. So to give back, it's a happy place. It makes you feel, it's rewarding. You know, you can't replace that with any other feeling in the world.
And apart from that, not to cut her off, and apart from that, bigger than just like, oh, you're gifted, so you're part of Girls with Gifts. It's really like getting to the root of what you were born to do. Because there's so many people who may even work at the BETs or work at Dash or work wherever, but they're still unhappy because they haven't found their purpose. I realized really late in my life, my purpose was not TV and film. My purpose was storytelling. But it took me a long time because I would work on different television shows and I would think like, God, you led me to work behind the scenes. But, you know, when I was working at Fremantle, I was so unhappy. I didn't want to work in TV anymore. I thought it was TV and film that I didn't want to work in anymore. But it wasn't that. I realized that I want to tell specific stories. And I just have to find the homes and the stories and the places where I can tell that. That can be me telling a testimony like I'm telling you now. That can be on television. That can be in a book. But it took me a long time to realize that because I didn't have a mentor to foster all those thoughts. So I was just interning here, PAing here, working here, doing this. So I learned in my life everything that I didn't want to do first before I arrived to what I wanted to do. And that's why Girls with Gifts primarily focuses on exposure. Like that is one of our big key components of the organization. And that's exposure in everything from food to career, to just stuff about being a woman. Because, you know, I remember the first year that we did, our signature program is called Reach Back, Pull Forward. The first year that we did it in Watts. It's a project called Imperial Courts Watts Project. I think that's exactly what it's called. But those girls had never even been like over the 105 highway.
Wow.
Literally. I don't even know if some of them had left like the projects outside of school.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like one of their field trips was to Roscoe's. Something that we take advantage. Like we'll go to Roscoe's, but we're kind of like over it. Like whatever. These girls were crying when we took them in the restaurant because they had never experienced this. They heard about it. They heard about Hollywood. They heard about all these things, and they live right there in the backyard. And just something as simple as going to Roscoe's, they felt so grateful for. And it was instances like that that kept me going. Because those weren't the types of things that I was grateful for. You know what I mean? Like my parents took me to Red Lobster or wherever was the hot
Olive Garden's.
I had the opportunity to do all those things. And it was just like, man, you know, and each year the organization has grown. It has gotten better and has gotten bigger because I've kind of refined the purpose and refined my purpose. Because like I said, I just realized that like, oh no, you're just a true storyteller. That's what you like to do. And I discovered that through developing in my career when I started working on Being. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that docu-series that was on BET and Centric. It's not on the air anymore, but I produced over like 35 episodes from them. And it was basically a documentary about profiling different women's lives. But we only focused on women who had experienced tragedy and then triumph. So if you hadn't gone through anything, we didn't profile you. So, I mean, we did everybody from Fantasia to Brandy to Tamala Mann to Erica Campbell. And through those experiences of having to research those individuals and sit down and, you know, 2 to 4 hour interviews with them, it was life-changing for me because we revered these people. We like, oh, Fantasia, Brandy, Wendy Raquel Robinson, Angela Bassett, whoever it is that you look up to, we see where they are now. But we didn't hear...
You didn't know their story.
Yeah. It's like, listening to their journey, you're like, they went through all of that. And for me, that kind of stuff was eye-opening because it was inspiring for me because it's like to see that, not to say that this is the end of their story, but to see where they are now compared to where they come from or came from. It was like, Antoinetta, you're not done writing your story. Like, just keep going, girl.
Absolutely.
Like, it's okay. You ain't seen nothing yet because this lady didn't, you know, been raped, or this lady had to eat out of trash cans, or this lady went bankrupt. And it's like, you just didn't get an email back. Like, girl, keep going, you know?
Right.
So just my various experiences in life have helped as well grow the organization.
So how do you go about finding your girls? Do you just go to like different schools and let them know what you're doing, or?
Yeah, so that has been the challenging part too, because my organization is complete volunteer based. Even the staff is volunteer. No one gets paid. The board members, the staff, the advisors, the ambassadors, the mentors. So time is probably like the weakest part of the organization, because pretty much everyone who's a part of the organization works in the industry. And it was kind of designed that way just to make it appealing.
Right.
The way to market it.
Smart.
So to answer your question, we really haven't figured that component completely out. There's a various ways doing stuff like this on the radio.
Social media.
Yeah. We go to schools. We go to recruit to schools.
Executive Prep was one of our...
Executive Prep, Morningside High in Inglewood. I would like to expand it. Again, it was just time has been a factor. Just like actually getting down to the schools, doing the presentations, and having someone be able to do that, because I travel a lot, so that's been a challenge. But that's primarily social media, going to the schools. One of our coordinators, she is a teacher at Inglewood High, so she's been very instrumental in like getting the word out to like parents and things of that nature. But yeah, if you have any other ideas, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're definitely
churches.
We're definitely going to promote it. I mean, I'm going to make sure, everything goes on Dash's socials and stuff like that, and spread the word, because what you're doing is phenomenal. Like, it's amazing, because I share the same passion as you as well. So to see that someone's actually doing something about it is pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's not easy.
Take that leap of faith.
You have to.
There.
You have to.
You'll be so happy.
Just like you took that leap of faith and moved to LA with only $800 in your pocket and made it happen.
Yeah. Perseverance.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what's in your heart, because if not, you're going to be unhappy, just like AJ called you out.
Yeah, like seriously, like to have a stranger call you out, like it's giving me chills to even think about it, because I forget about certain things in my life. I think I just kind of block them out at certain points, but until I get to interviews like this and you make me recall. But like even you just mentioning the $800, like I totally forgot about that. But that was such a low point in my life. She actually moved to LA first. She graduated a year before I did and was in LA struggling, like couch surfing, everything that everybody does when they first move to LA. So she kind of like a little bit was my mentor in a sense of like, girl, this is what I went through, trying to help me eliminate some stuff. But she was so fresh in it, she couldn't really like help me, prevent me from going through it. And she was still kind of going through it herself. But yeah, when I first moved to LA, it was hard. Like, it was so hard. That's why I try to tell these kids now, they want it tomorrow. Yeah. You know what I mean? It took me 15 years.
They don't want to pay their dues. No. They don't want to pay their dues.
They do not want to pay their dues.
They see the end. They see like where the Antoinetta is right now, the shows that she's produced, the the context that she has now, and the relationship that she's built. But they don't know that Antoinetta didn't have anywhere like she didn't move from Flint and transition like, oh, here's my apartment key and here's my bed, everything is laid out, I have dishes in the sink.
I slept on couches too.
That was not the case. There was no seamless there's no seamless pipeline, there's no seamless transition to from that girl from Flint, for that girl from Flint transitioning out here to Hollywood, which is one of the things that we try to focus on with Girls with Gifts is like, we want to make this process easy for you. The transition for us in the beginning stages of the industry for us was rough, but we, and that's the point of mentoring and giving back, reach back, pull forward, giving back, making an impact so that these young girls will not have to go through what we went through.
That's a blessing.
And I do want to clarify one thing too. We again, most of the women who were the original founding members of the organization, were a part of the industry or involved in the industry, but we have expanded to accepting girls who may not know if the industry is what they want to do, because our sole purpose is to help you find your purpose.
Yeah.
So sometimes I want to just be really clear about that, so girls then be like, oh, I don't want to be a producer or a dancer or an actor, they don't apply. And that's not the case. Again, that's just more of a marketing tool to keep the organization interesting, and that is our focus. But based on the applicants, we will modify some of the sessions if we get a girl who wants to, I don't know, bake or cook, because there are chefs in the entertainment industry, so it all can like translate, but you don't have to be like a singer, a dancer, a producer, an actor. So I just really want us to clarify that. And then additionally, having support from people like T. Lee and now you, because I will be calling on you.
Yeah, I'm down.
To just serve as inspiration, primarily through testimony.
Yeah.
You know, just coming in and talking to the girls and telling them your journey. Because like me, when doing the Brandys and the Tamala Manns and the Angela Bassett's and all these other people's stories, I got inspired because these women were older and more successful and had experienced more. And these young girls will get inspired from our level because although we're not famous, we still are much further than
where they're at.
And the one thing that I make sure that I do when I'm recruiting mentors and volunteers for the organization is I try to find women who are down to earth and can relate. Because when you're dealing with these type of girls, if they feel like you're out of reach and out of touch, they're not gonna open up to you. They're not gonna touch. Like you could drive around in a Rolls Royce and a Benz and this, and that may not seem tangible for them. But if in conversation, if you can tell them that you've been through something, because you know it's like you don't want to take advice from people who have really not been through anything, because you're like you can't relate.
Yep.
And so I try to find mentors who aren't judgmental. You know, because like I said, a lot of these girls, you know, single parent home, mom may not be in the household, money or finances may be an issue. There's just
struggling mentally. You know, we focus on mental health as well. We want to, you know, we want to be that ear for you. Even if we have to take you to go and get ice cream, we will have a sit down one-on-one with you to, you know, hone in on what is it like. Are you okay? What can I do for you?
I love it.
Because a lot of those girls have had, you know, very troubled past, and they will never tell you unless, and sometimes you can read it. Like we've been able to, thank God for the spirit of discernment, because we've been able to kind of read it. Like I know my mentor, one of the ones from Watts, I literally could like read her up and down, and I knew that she had a troubled past. And as soon as she trusted me with information, she told me everything.
Wow.
You know, so we focus on mental health, and you know, I mean, look at how, you know, the increase of
Suicide rates,
like, you know, so that is another component of the organization that we don't want anyone left outside, not, you know, feeling alone, depressed, sad, feeling like they don't have anyone. Although a lot of these girls do have a 2-parent household, but they still feel very alone, you know.
Ladies, how can we find Girls with Gifts online, IG? Plug yourself in.
Yeah, you can go to www.girlswithgifts.org to find all of the information about the organization. That is pretty much our handle for everything on social media, Facebook, Instagram. And we're having an Inspire Her Summit coming August 4th and 5th here in LA. And you can find out all the details about it. We're accepting girls between the ages of 12 to 18. So please sign up because we're going to give you lots of information. You will be able to receive a mentorship if you successfully complete the summit. So sign up. It's free and it'll be fun.
Girlswithgifts.org. Yes, I love it. Well, I'll definitely be partaking. So call me. I'm down. Count me in. I love it. I love the movement. I love what you guys are doing. I'm all about it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Make sure you guys follow at its_the session. Follow me as well. Michelle Nicole, MICHE11ENICOLE.